actually going to record our session so that anybody who isn't here can still kind of watch it later on or whatever. And so so it looks like so far it's just us, which is nice. It's good like this too. And so really what I wanted to do is ask you if there's any questions that you have out of the review. And let's see, Eric is joining us right now too. Perfect. Good. And so let's let Eric join in. All right, Eric is here too. Excellent, Eric. I hope you're doing well. And so really what I wanted to do today, y'all, is answer any questions you guys might have out of the review. So just to give you a heads up, the review has, I want to say it's 30 questions. And I set it up on my OneNote so that I can, work out any problems you guys might have. And then I think I told you guys the test has 14. So guys, I'm going to open up the test tonight, okay? And you have until today, until Sunday to get it done. The only thing is there is a time limit, guys. So once you start the test, you can't come back like 3 days later and work on it. You got to do it kind of like in one session, okay? So I'm going to set up the test for you guys today, and it'll be open through Sunday, I think is what I said. I need to double check what I told you guys on the on Blackboard. Let me just pull this up real quick so that you guys can, so that I can see this too. Let me see. Oh, let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Through Tuesday. I'm sorry, through Tuesday. So it'll be open actually tonight all the way through Tuesday. So you actually have some time to get it done. So one thing I would tell you is don't start the test until you really, really feel like you're ready to do it, just because there is going to be that time limit on there, okay? But the one thing I wanted to mention, y'all, the test has 14 questions, and those 14 questions come directly from these 30, okay? So the only thing that's going to change is maybe the numbers, but the problem itself is going to be the same type of problem, okay? So let's see. Now that I have you all here, and what I want to kind of do, y'all, is kind of go kind of in order. So this way we're not jumping around too much. And so let's see. Let me do this again. So Eric and Ivy, do either of you guys have any questions? Say, I'm sharing my screen. Do either of you guys have any questions about, say, like problems 1, 2, or 3? And then we can just kind of go through, and then we'll tackle them as we kind of come along. But do either of you guys have questions on 1, 2, or 3?
The first 3, not really, not for me.
Eric, you're good? Okay. Ivy,
yeah,
are you good? Okay, good. Ivy, are you good with 1, 2, or 3? You're good also? Okay, perfect. And so then let's do this. Let me scroll again. And let's take a look at like problems like 4 through 7. And let me see, let me come back because I think I heard something. Let's go like this. 2.4 is a little bit tough. Okay, we'll definitely get to 2.4. Anybody have any questions on 4 through 7? Anybody? No, so okay, Ivy, you're good. Eric, are you also good on 4 through 7?
Yes, sir. For the qualitative, yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so then let me keep going. This is great, guys. Like I said, and I'm guessing you guys are probably good with number 8 too, because it's kind of like 4 through 7. But let me put it this way. What about 8 and 9? Because 8 and 9 look similar. 8 and 9. Anybody got anything out of 8 and 9? And so I know, Ivy, yours was more of a 2.4, but okay, I just want to make sure. I don't want to skip anything. Eric, you're also good with 8 and 9?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, and let's see. Let's take a look at these 3. What about 10, 11, and 12? Anybody have any? Oops. Anybody have anything out of 10, 11, or 12? Anything from there? Nope, you're still good. Awesome. Eric, are you still good also with 10, 11, 12?
Yes, it's because I printed out the whole, I got the questions on a sheet of paper, each one. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, that's what I did here. I just printed it and I sent it to my OneNote because then I can write on the screen. Guys, what about problems like, say, 13 or 14? And I'm not sure when the problems from 2.5 or 2.4 IB actually start, but you know what? I can probably figure that out. Probably isn't that hard to do. Not figured that yet. Okay, so it looks like maybe when we get to like 23, that's where 2.4 kind of starts. But let me see.
Yeah, I believe those. And then the last three, I know they're 2.5.
Okay, so let me keep going then. I'll tell you what, let me do it this way. Since it's just us right now, what's the first question? Because I want to make sure that I use the best, utilize our time the best. What's the first question you guys had for me out of the review? Like, what's the first one you felt like you struggled with, you want me to go over so that we can make sure that we're good with this? Eric or Ivy, whichever one is the first one that you felt like.
The one I struggled with, I think it was 2.4 because one of the formula had like a -1. And
Okay.
I had all the math correct except that -1. And since I got it wrong twice, it changed up the problem on me.
Okay. Do you remember which one it was from here?
I think it's the one you put up on
15 or 16? I'm sorry?
I think it's the one you put up like a day or two ago.
Oh, the video that I sent out.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll get to that in a second. What about anything here? 15, 16, are you guys good with these?
15.
Just like can you find the midpoint? Can you find the relative frequency?
That's the one that we did on the calculator with the stat button.
Yes.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, well, we can definitely do it with the calculator with a stat button. But let me do 15 just so you guys can see, because I want to make sure that we're good with these here. Okay. And I don't want you all to feel like you're being rushed or anything. But if I was going to do 15, and so the nice thing is this table has already given me the frequency, right? So if I was going to find, say, the midpoint, remember what the midpoint is. The midpoint is saying what number is in the middle between 15 and 25. So I would take 15 and 25, add them together and divide by 2, and that's actually going to give me 40 divided by 2. So the number in the middle is 20. So I'm going to put 20 right here, right? And then I would do the same thing again, but now I'm going to do 26 and 36. I'm going to add those together. I'm going to divide by 2, and that's going to give me, 62. And we're going to divide it by 2, and that's going to give us something like 31. And so that's what I'm going to write right there, right? And I would keep playing this game. I would keep doing the same thing over and over again. But guys, remember when we were looking for, like, say, the class width, and we would say, what's the distance from 15 to 26? How much did I have to add? And we said, oh, look, if we add 11, and if we keep playing that game, if we keep adding 11, we're going to keep getting those numbers right there, right? And the same thing happens with our midpoint. You can keep adding 11. So 20 and 31, 20 and 11 gives me 31. If I add another 11, that's going to give me a 42, a 53, a 64, a 75, and an 86, right? So those are my midpoints, right? And then now, if I want to find, I'm actually going to do the cumulative frequency first, okay? I think the cumulative frequency is just a little bit easier for me to do. I'm going to do that one first, and then I'll come back and do the relative. But for the cumulative frequency, all we're doing is we're saying, well, if this number here is 18, let's put an 18 right there. Now, cumulative means we are accumulating. We're adding these numbers up. So, guys, I'm just going to take my calculator. I'm just using the one that's on my phone. So let me see. So I'm going to say, what's 18 plus the next number, which is 45? So this here is giving me 63. And all I did is add those two numbers together. And if I add another 66, so let me do that, add 66, that gives me 129. And if I add another 67, that gives me 196. And if I add another 81, that gives me 277. And if I add another 66, that gives me 343. And then if I add one more 22, that gives me 365, right? Okay, so again, all we did is we were just adding, we just kept on adding straight down because we're doing the cumulative part, right? Excuse me. Now when we're going to do the relative frequency, the way I'm going to figure out the relative frequency, y'all, is in essence what we did here was we found the sum of these numbers. Remember that little funny looking E? We found, I'm sorry, over here. We found the sum of these numbers here to be 365, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of these numbers individually and divide them by 365. So I'm going to take 18 divided by 365, and it's telling me to round to the nearest hundredth. It tells me that right there. And hundreds just means I'm going to go 2 decimal places. So what I'm coming up with here is 0.05. It's 0.049, but I got to round to 2 decimal places. 45 divided by 365, 0.12. Let's see, 66 divided by 365, 0.18. And 67 divided by 365, 0.18 again, because again, I am just going to 2 decimal points. 81 divided by 365 is 0.22. And 66 divided by 365 was 0.18 again. And then finally, 22 divided by 365 was giving me a 0.06. And so we were able to figure, kind of find our table, right? All right. Let's see. So let me keep moving here. Guys, are you good with 16? Do you want me to do 16? I just want to make sure that we're okay with these. And feel free to ask, guys. This is y'all's time. This is my time for you guys. We're good with 16 then? Okay, so then let's see. All right, we got some more people here. Excellent. Evelyn, I see you. Monica, I see you. Ruth, I see you. So again, y'all, what I'm doing here, I didn't know y'all had joined in. So really what I'm doing was I'm just answering any questions that y'all might have out of the review. The one thing I really wanted to mention is the review has 30 questions. The test has 14. And those 14 questions, y'all, come directly from the review, okay? So so let me keep scrolling. Does anybody have any questions from, let me do this. Anybody have any questions? Well, let me ask you a question. Does anybody have a question about number 17? And if you do, guys, let me know, and I'm more than happy to go over it. Can we do the class section, fill them in, so number 17? Yes, let's definitely do number 17. Okay. So let me see, I heard something. I just want to make sure I'm getting it. Yeah, perfect. Okay, yeah, let's definitely do 17. Okay, so we're going to construct a frequency distribution using the 5 classes. Okay, so first thing we got to do, y'all, is we got to find the smallest number and we have to find the biggest number. Okay, so my smallest number appears to be the number 1, and it looks like our biggest number is what? Is 10? Okay, so remember, we're going to first find the range. Okay. So first, to find the range, we're going to take 10 minus 1. That's going to give us 9. Okay. Now, we're going to find the class width. The way we find the class width, y'all, we're going to take this number 9. We're going to divide it by the number of classes they're telling me to use. They're telling me to use 5. Okay. So when I do this here, and I'm just going to do this on my calculator, guys, I'm just using like my basic calculator on my phone, I'm coming up with 1.8. Okay, so the one thing I want to emphasize here, y'all, we're always going to round up. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of make this up. Okay, on the side. Suppose when we divided this out, we would have come up with 1.05. I'm still going to round up. It doesn't matter that, well, I thought we said, well, and I don't want to confuse you guys with the 5 parts, so let me do it like this. 1.03, okay? And we would say, normally, don't we round when it's like 0.5 or more? Yeah, we usually do. But with finding class widths, we always round up whatever our decimal is. So if we end up with 1.8, we go to 2. If we end up with 1.03, we go to 2. If we end up with 1.4, we go to 2. We're always going to go up to the next number. Okay? So now, we know that our class width is going to be 2. So what I'm going to do now, y'all, is we're going to start filling in what we call the lower limits, okay, or the lower numbers. So let's see. The lowest number we have is 1, okay? And then we're going to start adding 2 to that. So that's going to be 3. We're going to add 2 again. That's 5. We're going to add 2 again. That's 7. We're going to add 2 again. That's 9. Okay. And then now I want to do the upper numbers, right? The upper limits right up here. So if this number here is 3, then this one here is going to be 2. If this one is 5, the previous one is 4, 6, 8, and 10. Okay, so now that we've done that part, y'all, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how many numbers do we have in the first class? How many numbers do we have that are 1s and 2s? So what I'm going to do here, y'all, I'm going to start counting my 1s and 2s. So look, let's do it like this. 1, 2, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? So it looks like we have 7 numbers that are either 1 and 2. So far, are we doing okay? Are we good at this point? And then we're going to do the same thing, guys. We're going to count our 3s and 4s, okay? So look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 3s and 4s, okay? And we're going to do the same thing for our 5s and 6s. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like we have 10 numbers that are 5s or 6s. We're going to do the same thing for 7s and 8s. So I'm going to just change my color. You see 7s and 8s, the first column, no. This one, no, no, no. 7s and 8s, it looks like we just have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then 9s and 10s. Let's do our 9s and 10s. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So we got this part here. Okay. All right. Now that we've done that part, we have made our frequency distribution for the 5 classes. And now we're going to figure out our relative frequency. Okay. So let's take a look here because it says the relative frequency. So let's see if we can do it this way. What we need to do, y'all, is we need to find the sum of these numbers, right? So let's see. I'm going to start adding all the numbers up. Or do we know how many numbers we had? Let's see. Oh, we had 36, right? Okay, so we have a total of 36. So my frequency here, the sum of it is going to be 36, right? Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of make our table. Okay. So remember, we're going here from 1 to 2. So this is 1 to 2, and then we have 3 to 4, and we have 5 to 6, and we're going to go all the way to 10, right? 5 to 6, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so that I have enough room. 7 to 8, 9 to 10, okay? And so now what we're going to do, we're going to figure out how tall should those bars be, okay? So guys, the way I'm going to figure out my height is, and I'm going to look here at my picture. So since it's asking me for relative frequency, okay, I want to, before I keep going on, I want to come back and I want to look at the problem that we did here. You remember when we did our relative frequency? Look at the numbers that we had. We ended up with decimals, right? And do you remember how we came up with those numbers? We took each of these numbers individually and we divided them by the total, which was 365. So what I want us to do here, y'all, is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take each of these numbers here individually, and we're going to divide by the total, which we said was 36, okay? So I'm just going to do this on my calculator, guys. 7 divided by 36 is 0.19, okay? So I'm going to make this, I'm going to know that that number is going to be a 0.19 when I'm doing my relative frequency. 8 divided by 36, 0.22. 10 divided by 36 is 0.28. I'm going to 2 decimal places, just kind of like the way the other problem did. 3 divided by 36 is 0.08. And 8 divided by 36 is 0.22 again. Okay. And so when I start to make my bars, so between 1 and 2, look at the biggest number we had. The biggest number we had was, which one? This one right here, 0.28. And it looks like the smallest one we had was a 0.08, right? So if I were to think about something like, say this is 0.08, and then it looks like we had a 0.19, and then we had a 0.22, and then we had a 0.28. I know I'm kind of running into my words here. But the first one, between 1 and 2 is 0.19. So this bar should look something like that. Between 3 and 4, it was, what was it? 0.22. So this one's going to look something like this. And let's see, 5 and 6, it was 0.28, which was kind of the bigger one. 7 and 8, we were at 0.08, which is the smaller one. And then 9 and 10, we were back at 0.22, which was something more like this. And I know my bars aren't touching, you guys. And I know in histograms, they're supposed to touch. So we're going to fix that in a second, right? But I want you to kind of look at the way my bars look. I know it's a little messy just because of how I drew it. What number would be right here between 1 and 2? Wouldn't that be 1.5, 3.5, 5.5, 7.5, 9.5? So and the reason why I'm doing that is I notice that some of these here have those half markings, right? And because that's in the middle, that's telling me that my graph is either going to be C or it's going to be B. And it can't be 1 because my bar goes from 1 and 2. So it can't be this one and it can't be that one, okay? And then I want you to look at my Y scale. Look at the numbers we have, 0.18, 0.19, 0.22, 0.28. So when I come back over here and I kind of start to look at this, well, this one doesn't have those point numbers. So that's telling me that my graph is going to look something more probably like this one right here. And remember what number we got for our first graph? We came up with 0.19. You see how this graph is just a hair below the 0.2? You can think of that 0.02 as 0.20, and we're at 0.19. So that's going to be my graph, my histogram. And then the next part is going to say which class has the greatest relative frequency. So remember, we made our relative frequency right over here, right? Which one had the greatest? The one between 5 and 6. So we're going to say 5 and 6. And then which one had the smallest? This one here, the one between 7 and 8. Okay, so let me come back because I want to make sure that we're all good. Okay, I heard something in the. Okay, that was just the same.
Yeah, it was me, sir.
Okay.
Also,
so guys, you're good.
The only comment I was going to ask on the graphs, can we also base, I know we're doing the math on it, but we can also base ourselves on the side since it's asking for relative frequency. we go through the
Yes.
two relative frequency, because the other one just said frequency, right?
That's right. That's right. So very, is that Eric? Is that you telling me?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, good. So guys, I want to emphasize what Eric said right now, right? So Eric's comment was, if you look at the question says, what's the relative frequency histogram? So relative frequency, right here. If you look at our pictures here, and this is what Eric is commenting on, look at these parts. So if we're going to do relative frequency, well, we already know that these here don't have relative, so those aren't going to work. So then that means that my choices boil down to these two. And then because we're looking for graphs for the values between 1 and 2, we know the middle is 1.5. By process of elimination, that's got to be my graph. Is that what you're, in essence, Eric, is that what you were telling me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, perfect. That works, and that's probably a whole lot easier than what I just did for you guys. But so yeah, definitely. I mean, I was trying to kind of give you the idea in terms of the numbers, and the numbers, you know, they match up, right? But definitely, those are gonna be key things, guys, that you guys can do to ensure that you get your questions right. Excellent. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a very good point. Guys, let me ask you, since those of you who are here, what other questions do you want me to go through? I mean, I'm going to keep scrolling along. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go to the next problem, which is I'm going to pull these two up here, 18 and 19. And you tell me if you want me to do any of these two problems here. And if you do, we'll get them done. Anybody want 18 or 19? Don't be shy, guys. Speak up. This is your time. I'm just here to help you guys through this, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Do you want me to do 18, 19?
Yes.
Okay, let's do them. So let's take a look here, guys, at 18 and 19. Let's take a look. Okay, so it says for the dot plot below, what is the maximum and what's the minimum entry? Okay, so guys, what is the maximum here? Just look at the picture. What's the highest value we use?
17.
There you
14.
go. And the minimum. Okay, so guys, remember what it's asking me. It's asking for the maximum and the minimum entry. So very good. It's not necessarily 14. It's actually 17 and 12. The 14, that would have the greatest frequency because there were 1, 2, 3. There were 4 14s and there were only two 17s. But the biggest number for in terms of entry would be the 17, and the minimum would be 12. So what we would do is we would say, we're going to pick what, choice C? That would be my choice right there.
Yes.
Okay, so very good. The 14 has the greatest frequency, but in terms of maximum and minimum, it's just what's the biggest number and what's the smallest number, okay? All right, so guys, let's take a look at number 19. 19 says, let's use stem and leaf plots to display the data. And it says, which represents the scores of biology, or which represent the scores of biology class in a midterm exam, identify any patterns. Okay, so guys, the way we do something like this is they give us a little key. And that key says, when we write the number 3/3, that's really the same thing as 33. So if you notice here, we have 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the smallest numbers. And let's see, do we have any grades in the 60s? I see this one here. Do we have any other 60s? This one también, right? So it looks like we have 2 grades in the 60s.
And 67.
And 67, there you go. Thank you all. Okay, so 67, 68, 69. So guys, the way I do this, I'm going to put a 7, a little space, and an 8, and then a 9. So that means that there's a 67, a 68, and a 69 because we have that 6 in front. Okay, so now look, let's get rid of the 60s. Let's do the 70s. Guys, what we really want to do here, y'all, we want to make sure that we arrange them in order from smallest to the biggest. So I don't want to, like when we did the 67, 8, and 9, it's important that I put 7, 8, 9, not like 9, 8, 7 or 8, 7, 9. It has to be in order, okay? Let's do the same thing for the 70s. So it looks like we have a 73. Here we go. We got a 73, and we have a 75, and we have another 75, and a 76 also. So we're going to go like this, 73, and then we have two 75s, and we have a 76. And so I'm going to do this because otherwise it's going to get a little messy for me to see. Okay. We'll do the same thing for the 80s. So look, we have an 80. So I'm going to start writing these first. 80, and then do we have any 81s? Oh, we got another 80 over here. Another 80, okay. And then what's the next smallest 80 we have? 82? 82. And let's see, what else do we have? 85s, it looks like. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then do we have any 86s or anything like that? No, but I do see
We have an 88.
And we got two 87s. And then I heard you say an 88 right here. Good. And do we have any other 80s? No, it looks like those are all the 80s, right? Okay. So now let's do the same thing for the 90s. So I think we had a 90 somewhere. Here we go. So there's a 90. And then we have 1, 2, 3 91s. 1, 2, 3 91s. And it looks like we have a 92. And then it looks like we have a 94. And what else? 95 and a 96. Okay, so that's how we make our stem and leaf plot, okay? Now, the second part of the question says, what best describes the data? So let me ask you a question, guys. Are most of the scores in the 60s and the 70s? What do you think? Are most of them, so we look at these, all these numbers right here, all we did now is we just kind of arranged them in an order. Do the 60s and 70s have the most?
No.
No, right? Which is going to be the one with the most?
80s and
Wouldn't
90s.
you say the 80s and the 90s have the most, right? And then part C says the scores are evenly spread. In order for them to be evenly spread, they would all have to have like, 5 or 6 each. They'd all have to be kind of the same. So the same numbers, we'd have, say, 5 grades in the 60s, 5 or 6 in the 70s, 5 or 6 in the 80s, 5 or 6 in the 90s. We don't have that. So we know it's not C. And then it says most are in the 70s or 80s. No, most of them are in the 80s or 90s, right? So we got number 19 done. So far, are we doing okay here, y'all? Is this kind of making sense as we're going through these? All right, good. Let's see. So guys, let me keep scrolling along here. Let's see. So I'll tell you what, because this problem just kind of has a lot of stuff here. Anybody want me to do number 20? If you do, just let me know. I'm happy to do it. And if you don't, that's okay. We'll move on to the next one.
Let's go ahead and do it, just in case.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. We got time, guys. We have time. Okay, so let's take a look here. 20 says, during a quality assurance check, the actual contents in grams of 6 containers of protein powder were recorded as 1524, 1533, 1498, 1509, 1536, 1514. Okay, find the mean and the median of the contents. Okay, so guys, I'm going to show you how to do this on your calculator so that it's going to be easy breezy cover girl for you guys, okay? So let me pull up, and guys, let me ask you all a question. Have any of you guys, so let me stop sharing this real quick, and I'm going to do this so you guys can just see who I am, because I don't know if you guys have seen me yet. And let me fix my hair a little bit. There we go. All right. Okay, guys, let me ask you a question. I'm getting out my iPad right now because, let's see. Is it okay? So this is at Graphing Calc 83. And has anybody, I mean, I don't know if you guys have an actual like graphing calculator, and if you don't, you can use this. But I found something out yesterday. So in one of my classes yesterday, apparently for Apple products, it's no longer free. But there are other products that work exactly the same. So if you have not had a chance yet to download it, now it's like $6. So it's not like it's really, really expensive. But if you don't want to pay $6, you can always get something else. So what you do, guys, and those of you who have Android phones or Android tablets, it's called Graph and Calc 83, and it is still free on Android. It's just now for Apple stuff, you all got to pay, okay? So if you don't have a calculator, you might want to get something like this, or there's like Calculate 84. There's kind of quite a few of them on there. And those of you who have Apple products, if you got questions looking for, which one is free, let me know, and I'll send you something. Just send me a message on Prano, and I'll send you something back. Let you know you can probably do this one, and you'll be good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that problem that we're doing right now, guys. I'm going to do it on my regular calculator, but you got calculator X. Okay, and is that working okay, Christine? Is that working for you so far?
Yeah, actually, until you talked about the other one right now, I didn't even realize that I didn't download what you told us to
Okay.
download.
No,
So
no,
yeah,
no,
I mean, it's been working fine.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure that you guys have something, okay? So let me see real quick. What I'm going to do here, guys, I'm going to share my regular calculator because I can't share do with my iPad. I can't do it like that. So what I'm going to do is that problem that we're looking at, they gave us some numbers there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this on my calculator. And guys, whether you have an actual calculator or whether you have the calculator app, this is all going to work the same way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the stat button. Number 1 says for me to edit, so I'm going to edit. Okay, as long as I don't have anything here, I'm good. If I did have numbers in that list, what I would do is I would hit my up arrow button so that I'm now over here where the L1 is, and I would hit clear, and I would hit enter, and it should clear everything out. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to enter in those 6 numbers that they gave me. So the first one was 1524. Okay, and then just hit the down arrow. And like I said, y'all, this works exactly the same way, whether you're using a calculator like this, or whether you're using one of those calculator apps. Okay, 1498, 1509, and 1536, and 1514. And that should be 6 numbers, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my stat button one more time. And I'm going to scroll over here to the left where it says calculator, where it says calc. And I'm going to go ahead and just hit enter because I want to do the first one variable stats. Now, on my app, it usually has a little parentheses and it's asking me I have to enter something in. It doesn't do that here, but I can do it the same way. I would hit second, and I hit the number 1 because I wanted to do list 1, my first list, okay? I'm going to hit enter. So you can see, guys, from up here, 1519 is my X bar. That's my mean, okay? So let's see. So, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to do some of these things. I'm going to fill this in and I'll kind of be going back and forth, guys, so you can see what it is I'm doing. 1519. And then if I just use my down arrow button, that MED, that's my median. That's my 1519. And isn't that the same number we had the first time? I want to say it was. My X bar, my median ended up being the same thing. Okay. So now let me stop sharing that and let me come back and share my my notes with you guys one more time so you can see what it is I'm doing. And so all I did here, guys, is I just wrote in the mean and median 1519 because I did it on my calculator, right? Now, if you look at the part B, so we just did part A. Part B says the third value was incorrectly measured, and it's actually 1518. So this number right here should now be a 1518. So I'm going to show you now how I can do this, again, using my calculator or the app, so that you're not having to do so much like work with your pencil and paper, okay? So let me share my calculator with you guys again. Okay. And here we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and quit this part. Oops. Quit, clear it out. Okay, so let me come back to stat, and I'm going to edit again. So I'm just going to click right here, and I'm going to go to that third one. And we said that third one was supposed to be I think they told me a 1518. So right here, I'm going to enter 1518, and I'm just going to hit my down arrow button. And if you notice, that's all it changed. It just changed that one value, didn't change anything else. So let me go ahead and quit this. So second mode, I'm going to come back to stat one more time. I'm going to go to calculate. I'm going to calculate my one variable stats for what list? For list one. And I'm going to hit enter. So now we have some changes.
I think I lost a step. Like,
okay.
I saw when you did quit, and then you go to that one.
Okay, so then once I hit quit, I came back to stat. And then I went to calc, and I hit number one, or just hit enter because I'm already on number one. And then here, I'm going to go second, and then the number one, so I can do my list one, and then I'll hit enter again.
Okay.
You got it? Okay.
I want to say yes, but like, to be completely honest, like, I'm totally gonna mess that up. That looks, I don't know.
Okay. So let me go. So guys, look what we came up with now. My X bar, which is my mean, came up to be 1522.3. On the paper, it's telling me, and I'll pull up the paper in a second, it's telling me to round to one decimal place. So I'm going to put 1522.3. So let me do that real quick. 1522.3. And then, let me see, I'm going to scroll down again because I want to find my median. My median was 1521. Okay, so let me see. Let me stop sharing that. And let me come back and share my notes with you guys one more time.
Good question, sir.
Yes.
Like on mine, the one I printed out, the numbers are different. So my mean came out to 1523.5.
Right.
1523 or 1524?
So look right here. It's all for the problems. So guys, this is an excellent question. So Eric's question is, should I round? Look what it's telling me to round to. It's telling me to round to one decimal place.
Mm-hmm.
So you got it. If you have yours came up with 1520 something 0.5.
Yes.
You're gonna you have to look at the number behind the 5, and if that number behind the 5, like I'm gonna make this up. Suppose, what did you say your number was again, Eric?
1523.5.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What's the number after the 5?
There's nothing.
It came out like this exactly?
Yes, it just says 1523.5.
That's exactly what you're going to put.
Okay.
Now, guys, if Eric's number would have been something like this, then he would put 15. Oops. He'd put 50. I got my eraser. There we go. He would put 1523.6. Why?
Okay.
Because it says round to one decimal, right? Okay, so excellent questions. This is very good. Okay, now, so let's take a look here. It says, part C says, after correcting the error, the mean, now guys, the way, because I printed this out, it's going to say, look, number one, did the mean go up or down? So look, from 1519 to 1522, did it increase or decrease? From here to here, did we go up or did we go down? Anybody know?
It increased.
It increased, right? So we're going to put increased by, and then the way we're going to figure that part out, guys, I'm just going to take, hold on.
Somebody asked another question in the messages.
Okay, I'll look at it right now. So, and I'll guys, I'll get to your question in 1 second. So it's going to say it increased by how much? So I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to say, what's 1522.3 minus 1519? And I would say by 3.3. And then the median also increased by what number? Well, from 1519 to 1521, it went up by 2. And which one went up more? And I would say, well, the mean went up more because this one increased by 3.3, while that one only increased by 2. So let me see the question that somebody's gotten here. Do we have to rearrange the numbers before changing the third number? No, we don't, right? Because remember how I did this? I used my calculator, right? So guys, all I did is when I entered in these when I entered in these numbers here we go. When I entered in these 6 numbers here, I entered them like that the first time. And then all I did is I went back and I edited my list 1. And all I did is I changed this number to that one right there, to 1518, and I didn't change anything else. And so, and if you notice, the nice thing about using your calculator, guys, is when you put your calculators in these lists, it's not really important what order they're in, because it's going to arrange them for you. It'll do all that kind of, it'll do all that kind of work for you guys so that you don't have to do it. Right?
Oh, I see.
And think about it. If I was doing this by hand, what would I have to do? I'd have to take my calculator and go, what's 1524 plus 1533 plus 1498 plus 1509, 50, and I'll have to take them and I have to add them together to find my mean, right? And if I was going to find my median, I would have to put those numbers in order, and I would have to do all that kind of extra legwork where whether I'm using a calculator or my calculator app, it's going to do those steps for me. And that's the nice thing. That's why in one of the messages that I sent to you all today, I said, look, guys, in this class, your calculator is going to be like your best friend. You're going to really want to make sure that you have it. You have that app. If you don't want to go, and you guys, some of you may have like one of those graphing calculators, maybe from high school. But if it's been a long time since you've been in high school and you don't have it, or you don't know what happened to it, or you never had one, I don't really want y'all to go buy one because they're like $100. And that's why those calculator apps work just as well. And, it comes out nice and neat, right? All right. So, guys, did y'all feel good about number 20 now that we kind of went through that one? Did that make sense? Yeah? Good. Ruth,
Yes.
Good. Excellent. Perfect, guys. Okay, so let's keep going here. Excellent. Good. So let me do this. Let me put up 21, 22, and 23, and you tell me which is the one you want me to do, or if you want me to do all 3, we can do all 3. Guys, I'm probably going to have to, I know our session is normally from 4 to 5. I'm probably going to have to cut it at about, give me 1 second and I'll tell you. I'll probably have to cut it at about, I can go a little bit past 5. I can probably go to about 5:15, maybe 5:20, but I'll have to cut it at that point. But let me know, guys, which ones do you want me to do? 21, 22, 23? Any of those? None of those? We still got about half an hour. Don't be shy.
Yeah, let's see.
Ruth said 23, and I kind of want that one too.
Okay, definitely. Let's do 23. Okay, so let's pull this up here, guys. And it says the mean score of a competency test is 68 with a standard deviation of 5. Use the empirical rule to find the percentage of scores between 58 and 78. Excellent.
Yes.
I'm glad you asked me this question because this is a really good one to use. Okay, so I'm going to pull something up real quick here, y'all. Let me see if I can find it, because I think it's going to make this part a little bit easier for us to do. So let me do this. There's my stat stuff right here. Let's do this. And let me see if I have this in here. Like this. And I'm just trying to find this part so we can do this business. There we go. Okay, so guys, let me share another screen with you all real quick so that you can see what it is I'm trying to do here. And here we go. Okay, so all I did, y'all, is I just pulled this up from my notes from chapters 1 and 2. And so this is like at the end of, oh man, what section is this? 2.3 maybe, 2.4. 2.4. Okay, so this is in my notes in 2.4, and this is where I have this empirical rule business. And I'm trying to see, there we go. Just trying to see if I can zoom in a little bit so you guys can see a little better. Okay, so when I have this kind of this graph here, the number down here towards the bottom, I don't know what's going to let me write on it, but this guy, okay, there it is. That number right there, that's going to be my mean. And then as we start adding the standard deviation, if we add it one time to the right, we get 34% of the data. If we add it another time, we get another 13.5, so on and so forth, okay? And the same thing happens when we go to the left, whether we add it or whether we subtract it, okay? So the reason why I want to do that is I'm going to come back to my problem so that you guys can see what it is I'm trying to do here. So look what we said the mean was. The mean was 68, okay? So right here in the middle, I'm going to write down the number 68. My standard deviation is 5. So if I add 5, that number is going to give me 73. If I add 5 again, that number is going to give me 78. Now, if we do the same thing, but we subtract 5, this number is going to give me 63. And if I subtract 5 again, this number here is going to give me 58. And the reason why I want to do that is because look what it's telling me. We want to know scores between 58 and 78, right? This is what we're looking for. We're looking for how much data is going to be in here. So when I come back to that same chart that I was showing you guys right now, here we go. Look what we have. We have 95% of the data lie within 2 standard deviations of the mean. So this is my 2 deviations of the mean, which is what we did in our problem. So I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm going to come back one more time to my problem, and we're going to say this is going to be 95%. Why? Because we went 2 standard deviations to the right and 2 standard deviations to the left so that we could get those values right there. Now, one thing I want to mention, y'all, it's every time you do this, you're always going to be adding and subtracting this number right here, and you're going to have to figure out how many times do I need to do this. But when you do, it's always going to end up with those numbers right there. So it'll never be like you should always be able to add and subtract it once or twice or 3 times. It's not going to be like, well, I had to do this like 11 times to get my numbers. No, it won't ever be that way. It'll either be once, twice, or 3 times. And like I said, you guys, remember, when you're taking your test, you can use your notes. I think I put the formula sheet up there for you guys as well. So you'll have those resources to use, okay? So good. Did that make sense on how we did 23? I hope I explained it good enough and I didn't take too long to get there. Okay, so which questions are based on what we learned in the section of 2.4 and 2.5? So I want to say that, let me see, and I'll tell you right now. So let me see, what problem is this? Let's keep going. So starting at 23, which is a question that we just did, that question, I want to say it came out of 2.4. So questions like 23 through 30 come out of 2.4 and 2.5. So let me keep moving along here, guys, and I'm going to just kind of keep scrolling, and you tell me which questions you want me to go through. So look, I'll put it this way. Look at 24 and look at 25. So those problems are almost identical, and they come directly from 2.4 or 2.5. I don't know what it's, I don't remember off the top of my head, but these problems come from that section. Y'all want me to try one of them?
This one's 2.4.
Okay, y'all want me to do one of those problems? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, let's do 25 because 25 has more data, and then you guys can try 24 on your own. And again, guys, we'll do it exactly the same way, okay? So let's take a look here. 25, I'm going to zoom in. And it says, the ages and years of a random sample of shoppers at a gaming store are shown. Determine the range, the mean, the variance, and the standard deviation. Excuse me. Okay, so remember, we want to find the range first. So remember the range, we're going to take the biggest number minus the smallest number, okay? So it looks like the biggest number here happens to be 23. And the smallest number looks like it is 12. So my range is going to be 11. Okay. Now, again, y'all, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this, and I'm going to use my calculator because I want y'all to see that, again, like I told you guys before, the calculator is going to be like our bestest friend throughout all this stuff right here, okay? Yes, I know I said bestest. So let me stop sharing this here. I'm going to pull up the calculator so you guys can see it again. And really what I'm doing, y'all, here is I'm just going to enter the numbers that I had here. So look, I'm here. I'm going to hit stat. I'm going to edit. So I'm going to go ahead and hit number 1. Now, remember how we had those numbers before? I don't want those numbers anymore. So I'm going to go up 1. And now my cursor is kind of highlighted on that L1. I'm going to hit my clear button, and I'm going to hit enter. So what it did for me, it wiped out all those numbers because I don't need them anymore. And then now I'm just going to start entering the numbers we had. We had 12, and then we had 17, and then we had 23. And I know you guys may not remember the numbers, but I'm looking at it right now, y'all. And I'll pull it up again so you can see what I'm doing. 14, 17, 20, 16, 15, and 16. Okay, so now that I have that here, I'm going to go ahead and quit this part. So I'm going to go second and quit. Okay, I'm going to hit my stat button again, and I'm going to scroll over till I hit calc, and I'm going to do my one variable stats. And I'm going to go ahead and hit second and L1 because I want to do the one variable stats for my list 1. Okay, so now it gave me some info. So take a look here. We have our mean. Remember, the mean is the X bar. So the mean here, guys, is going to be that 16.3. So right here, I'm going to write it on my paper, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what it is I'm doing. Okay. Now, the third thing on my list, in terms of my paper, was my variance. But the fourth thing is my standard deviation. So right above the n equals 10, where we have that little funny looking O with an X, kind of looks like the word ox, is 3.1. That's my standard deviation, okay? So I'm going to write that down on my paper, and then I'm going to come back so that you guys can see what it is I'm doing. Okay, so let me do this. Let me share my screen again. And yeah, here we go. Okay, so guys, all I did is my mean was 16.3, and I did this one first. I did my standard deviation, and I want you to notice it said round to the nearest tenth, and on my calculator, it gave me 3.1 exactly. But if it would have given me like 3.18, then I would put 3.2, whatever it happens to be. Okay, now, the way I'm going to find the variance is I'm going to take this number right here, 3.1, and I'm going to square it. So guys, I just have my phone right here with me, and I'm just going to do 3.1 times 3.1, right? And another 3.1. Okay, and I'm coming up with 9.61, and this one says round to the nearest tenth, so I'm actually just going to write 9.6, and I thought I heard something in the chat. No, maybe I didn't. Okay, no, nothing in the chat. So let's see. Now we got my problem done. Our range, remember, we just did the max minus the min. Then we put all those numbers in our calculator. We did our one variable stats. We were able to find our mean. The standard deviation, guys, is the one that looks like this. Okay? And the way you find this number is you're going to take this number, you're going to square it, and that's what you're going to put right there. So I know the way the problem is presented, like this is part 1, 2. I would make this part 3 and that part 4. What do you think? Are we doing okay so far?
Yes.
Yes? No? Not really? A little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, we're good? Okay. All right. So, so guys, again, I just can't say it enough. The calculator is gonna help us so much when we're doing these things. So the one thing I would encourage you to do before I keep working here, the one thing I would encourage y'all to do is the only way that I'm really gonna make a mistake is when I'm putting the numbers in, if I make a mistake when I enter my numbers, right? So when I'm entering those numbers 12, 17, 23, 13, those numbers, if I make a mistake there, then my problem is not gonna come out correct. So the one thing I really want to emphasize, y'all, go slow, double check, make sure you're entering them in exactly as you see them. Remember, when you put your first number, the way you get to the next one, just hit the little down arrow button on your calculator or on your calculator app, and then you can put the next one, right? Don't put pluses or anything like that. Just do the little down arrow, and it's going to work out fine. All right, so we still got about 15 minutes. Anybody have questions? Y'all want me to do 26?
Can we do 29? Since that one's
Yes.
2.5?
Yes. Okay. We'll get before I get to 29. Anybody want 26? Let me see. I thought I heard something. Yes. Okay. We'll do 26, and then Eric will definitely do 29. Okay. So guys, take a look at this problem here. But don't worry, Eric. I'm definitely going to do 29. Look what we got here. The mean is 1800. Remember, we just talked about this right now. My standard deviation is 300, okay? And it says, assume the data set has a bell-shaped distribution and assume the number of farms in the sample is 79. Okay, use the empirical rule. Guys, that's that same rule we were using a little while ago to talk about I'm either gonna add or subtract 1 deviation or 2 deviations or 3 deviations, so on and so forth, okay? So look, let's take a look here. We got 1800. That's gonna be my mean. Now, I'm gonna add 1 deviation over here. That's going to give me 2100. Hey, look at the number that we got right here. That's 2100. So now, if I subtract 300 this way, that's going to leave me with 1500, which is the number that I have right here, right? So now look, let me stop sharing this. Let me share that other screen that I want to share with you guys that we just did a little while ago. Where is it? Right here. Okay. And I want you to notice what we say right here. 68% lie within 1 deviation of the mean. Okay, so what's really important to me? That number is 68%. Okay, so I'm going to come back and let's do this. Okay, so we said 68% is going to lie within 1 deviation of the mean. So it says, use the empirical rule to estimate the number of farms whose land and building values vary between this much and this much. So we have a total of 79 farms. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take 79 times 68%. Well, 68% as a decimal is 0.68. So now I'm going to take my calculator. What's 79 times 0.68? And guys, the number that I'm coming up with is 53.72. And look what it tells me to do here. We're going to round to the nearest whole number. So 53.72, that'd be about 54. Okay. Now, there's a part B to it. Part B says, well, suppose we had another 21 farms. Out of those 21, how many would have values between 1,500 and 2,100 an acre? Still 68%, because that's still those numbers right there. So now I'm just going to take 21 times 0.68. And I'm coming up with 14.28. And again, it's telling me to round to the nearest whole number. Well, that's going to be just 14. Okay, excellent question. So guys, let me go in, before I go on, I'm going to do 29 right now, but before I go on, did it make sense on how we did number 26? Did 26
Yes.
make sense? How? Yeah, good. Excellent. So let's go ahead and do 29. And so guys, I'm going to scroll over here. 20, here's 29.
Sorry, just a
Okay.
question on number 26. I
Uh-huh.
was
Let me
checking
come back to it.
the work that you were doing, but on my question it says that mean is 1/500 and the standard deviation is 100. But
Okay.
I was doing the work that you were doing the bottom, but I'm not getting like the negative 300 and the 300.
Okay.
I
So
have
give me 1 second. Let me do 29 and I'll come back and we'll do your 26 right now. Okay. So
okay,
give me
sir.
one
Thank
second.
you.
Yeah, of course, of course. No, but we'll definitely do it. Okay. So guys, let's take a look here at 29 and it says, find the five number summary, draw a box and Whisker plot for the data. Okay. So guys, just like we did before, you guys, we're going to use our calculator again, okay? So let me get my calculator, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. So guys, I know that my numbers here, might be different from your numbers, but if you have, like I know, Eric, you have yours, you printed it out. If you want to follow along and use your numbers, you're definitely encouraged to do that. So guys, I'm going to share my calculator with you guys so you can see what it is I'm doing here. And we do this. Here we go. And there we go. It came up. So what I'm going to do one more time, guys, I'm going to turn this thing on, clear it out. I'm going to go to stat. I want to start a new list, so I'm going to edit the list that I have. The way I clear my list, y'all, is I go to the top and I hit clear. And then I hit enter, and we're all good. So now I'm going to start entering the numbers that I have. I have 4 and 8 and 8 again and 6 and 1 and 9 and 8 and 7 and 9 and 6 and 9 and 5 and 1 and 6 and 2 and 9 and 8 and 7 and another 7 and a 9. Okay. Woo, we got 20 numbers. They're all right there. Okay, number we're going to do now, guys. We're going to quit this. So we're going to go second mode to quit it. Then we're going to hit stat. And we're going to go over to calculate, which is the second one. And we're going to do number 1, which is one variable stats. And again, guys, if you need to, you're going to go second and L1. Okay. So let's take a look here. And a couple of things it's asking me for, and I'm going to share my screen again, guys. I'm going to stop sharing the calculator, and I'm going to share the notes one more time, just so you can see what it is I'm looking at. So let's make sure that it's up. Yes, it is. Okay, so guys, look what we're trying to find. We're going to find the minimum. We're going to find Q1, Q2, Q3, and the max. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we can do this on the calculator. Let me pull the calculator back up one more time so that we can do this. Okay, I'm going to start scrolling down right here. Look at the first thing. It's the minimum. It's 1. Look at Q1. It's 5.5. The median, guys, is the same thing as Q2. It's 7. Look at my Q3. It's 8.5. Look at my max. It's 9. So all I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop sharing this. And let me see. Come back over here. Let me pull up my notes one more time. Wish there was a way I could share 2 things at once, but oh well. Okay, so let me do this. Minimum is 1. So that's 1. My Q1 was 5.5. And notice what it says, do not round. I'm not. My median is my Q2, that's 7. This was 8.5, and that was 9. Okay?
Mhm.
And then now, we're going to find our box and whisker plot. So guys, when you're doing your box and whisker plot, it usually looks something like this, and then you have a box, and you have a line somewhere. It's not always in the middle, but it can be somewhere around here. But this number is always going to be the minimum. That number is always going to be the max. This one here is the Q1. This one here is the Q2. This one here is the Q3. So the question I want to ask you, based on the numbers that we had here, which one looks like is going to be my graph? A, B, C, or D?
D.
Which one?
D on yours.
Yeah, on mine is going to be D. There you go. Look, here's my minimum. Here's my maximum. My Q1, 5.5. My Q2, 7. My Q3, 8.5. And we got it.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think? Does that make sense? Are we good on how we
Way
did it?
easier on the calculator.
The calculator, guys, like I said, it's going to be your best friend, right? And again, guys, what I really want to emphasize, and guys, before the pandemic hit, I had taught this class in person the semester before. And like that was one of the biggest things we were doing. I know it was difficult, now it's a little bit more difficult because we don't get to see each other twice a week or whatever. We're at home. But the one thing I really want to emphasize is a lot of these problems I can do them by hand. There's nothing wrong with doing them by hand, but it's so much more time consuming. And guys, I know that you guys know how to do adding and subtracting and dividing, right? And do we make little mistakes? Of course, we all make little mistakes. I make little mistakes now and then, and I've been doing this for 20-something years, right? But it doesn't mean that we're not smart. Maybe we got careless, maybe we were in a rush. That's not the part that's really important. The important part is, can I find this information? Can I do it using extra tools? And that's what the calculator allows me to do, okay? So before I log off, I want to come back to the problem that we were doing here. And I'm sorry, I don't remember who. I know somebody asked me about their particular problem, and I don't remember who it was. Was it Christine, Evelyn, Ivy, Monica? Who was the one that had asked me a question about their 26?
Mister.
Evelyn. Okay.
Yeah.
So Evelyn, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes.
Let me see. Okay, so for your 26, let's see. For your 26, what's the mean that they gave you?
1,500.
1,100?
Yeah.
Like this?
No, 500.
500, okay.
Yeah. Like that.
Okay, and what was your standard deviation?
It is 100, sir.
Okay, it was 100?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then when you got to part A, what were the numbers that you had on yours right here?
After it is between is 1,300
Okay, 1,300 and what else?
and 1,700.
Okay. So Evelyn, the way we're going to do your problem, look what we're going to do here. Here's your median, right?
See.
1,500. Okay. Here's your standard deviation. So look, we're going to go like this. We're going to add 100. That's going to give us to 1,600. We got to do it again so that we can get to 1,700. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to subtract 100. That'll give us to 14. We're going to do it again, and we're going to get to 1,300. So in your case, Evelyn, we had to go 2 standard deviations. So guys, one thing I want to point out, the problem that we did, the problem that I had, I only had to go 1 standard deviation away. And Evelyn's problem, she had to go 2. So what does that mean? I'm going to stop sharing this part again real quick, guys, because I want to share the other screen that I had with you guys, which was this part right here. And again, remember, Evelyn's had 2 standard deviations. So instead of using 68%, Evelyn is going to use 95%. So we're going to go like this. We're going to come back to this part right here. And okay. So Evelyn's is going to be 95%. Now, Evelyn, in your problem, in my problem here, they gave me 79. What number did they give you for yours?
76, sir.
76, okay.
Okay.
So we're gonna go like this. Since Evelyn had 76, we're gonna take 76 times 95%, which is a 0.95. So again, y'all, I'm gonna take my calculator, I'm gonna go 76 times 0.95, and I'm coming up with 72.2. And if I have to round this number, you guys, it's still going to be 72, right? So Evelyn, for your part A, you would have 72.
Okay, sir.
Okay, and then let me ask you a question. There's a part B, and on my part B, the number they gave me was 21. What number did they give you on your part B?
22.
22. And were the numbers that you had here still the 1300 and 1700?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. And they gave you, I'm sorry, what was the number again? They gave you 22?
22, yeah.
Yeah, 22. So we're going to go 22 times 0.95. So I'm going to do that again here, guys, times 0.95. And I'm coming up with 20.9. So if I round that to the nearest whole number, that's going to give me 21. So good, good, good. So
Thank
guys,
you, sir.
You're welcome. I'm really glad that we did this. And guys, like the one thing that I really want to emphasize is every Thursday, we're going to have an hour. You and I are, myself and you guys, we're going to have an hour and for me to answer any questions, right? So let me stop sharing this screen real quick because I do want to share something else with you guys. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. I think this is us. Let me see, is this our class? Yes. Okay, so I'm going here to week 4. And yes, you guys can see this already. Okay. So guys, let's see. I'm going to open up the test. It's going to start tonight at 7 o'clock. Okay. You're going to have until Tuesday to get it done. You can take the test anytime between tonight and Tuesday. It's due by midnight on Tuesday, guys. Okay. I put here that I put a 3-hour limit. I'm going to change that to 4. Okay. What that means is that once you start the test, you got to get it done within 4 hours, right? So if you start the test tonight, you got to finish it tonight. Okay. You can't start it tonight and say, oh, you know what? I'll wait and I'll do a little bit more on Saturday and a little more on Sunday. Once it starts, it's going to start. So you really want to make sure that you dedicate a 4-hour block, guys. Not that you're going to need 4 hours. I put 4 hours so that you're not pressured with time. Okay, guys, the test only has 14 questions, and those 14 questions come directly out of the review. So every question on the test, if you've done the review, you'll see it, right? Now, guys, you don't have to start the test today. It's going to be open today until Tuesday night, right? So if you want to do it Monday, that's fine. If you want to do it Tuesday, that's fine. Now, the one thing I will say, remember, it's going to end Tuesday at midnight. So if you start it Tuesday at 10 o'clock, then you got an hour and 59 minutes to get it done because that's when it's going to close, okay? It'll be on my lab, just like the way the homework assignments and all that kind of stuff then, okay? So let me see. Let me stop sharing this and let me just ask you guys one more question, which is, do you all got any other questions you want to ask me? Anything at all? Anything at all? Do you feel like this was helpful?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So guys, that's it for today. I was recording the session, so let me stop actually recording it. We still have the homework sheet that you attached from week 3. Okay. Yeah.